Welcome back everybody to another episode of our weekly Moto News Roundup, where this time round we'll look at Ducati's stunning collection of new limited editions to celebrate their centenary, a new limited edition as well from BMW for their top spec sports bike, plus some new paint from Suzuki, Honda, and a new bike for the US from Yamaha. Then we've got news from Triumph, DGR, and British brand Mack motorcycles, the latest from Harley, LiveWire, and CFMOTO, and we'll round off with a look at how Honda plan to solve their massive recall problem with the CB1000s. But before we get underway, a huge thanks to Break Free for supporting the channel and sponsoring our news coverage. And if you've ever been curious at all about this particular product, then there are links down in the description below where you can find out more. But let's get stuck in this week with a look at those new Ducatis. It's called Collezione 100, which, like I say, was announced this week as part of their centenary celebrations. Now, the general idea is 10 models with 10 special finishes, all of them inspired by some of the most significant bikes through the history of this company. Just 100 of each will be made, all numbered of course, and you've also got the option of a matching helmet and jacket if you so wish. But look, I think we should just have a look at the individual bikes and drool over them in all their glory. So first up, we've got the mighty Panigale V4S in this Paul Smart inspired finish drawn from the Imola 200 winning 1972 750 Desmo. And look, it's not exactly subtle. In fact, I've looked through them already, very few of these are. But I think Ducati had to do something really bold to celebrate such a significant milestone, and so I think this one certainly hits the mark in that regard. Next up, we got the Panigale V2 inspired by a 1975 750 Supersport Desmo, which apparently won the Italian champs. And I will say I love that era of Ducati logo, and also nice to see they painted the swing arm yellow as well, just like the original. Then we've got the Street Fighter V4 in a black and gold scheme taken from their 1979 900 Sport Desmo Dharma, with the same gold wheels and also that very nice gold line running through the body of the bike. The monster though, well, it had to be based upon a monster, of course, and this one's specifically based upon the S4RS Tricolor, which I think works, you know, almost equally as well on both two bikes, although I will say the original of that particular model does look particularly good. Then we got a couple of Diavels, so the X-Diavel in blue and gold, pulled from the 750 Supersport California Hot Rod, and also a Diavel V4 RS based upon the 900 replica, which is a bit of a stunner, it's got to be said. For the more long distance inclined, we've also got a Multistrada V4 RS with a paint job from the 500 SL Panther. But for me, this Scrambler in blue is one of the picks of the bunch, with a really nice job of referencing the original Scrambler 250, complete with the spoke wheels as well. Rounding off, we've got a Hypermotor V2 with the paint on this one from their 860 24-hour racer. And then perhaps the creme de la creme, I reckon, is the Desert X, which gets this really slick looking yellow and blue to pay homage to a bespoke Panther 500 that was used to perform a halftime show at an Alfa Sud ice race in the Alps in the early 80s. Now I know what you're thinking, it looks a bit V-Strom 800DE, and I would agree on the face of it, but I think once you've seen the original that they've based it upon and kind of got the backstory as well, I've got to say that is one sweet looking bike, and it does offer something, you know, very special looking versus that regular Desert X finish that we've got quite used to. Now, unfortunately, no price on the Ducati website for these. It just says priority purchase is reserved for registered customers. Requests are subject to verification and do not guarantee allocation. So I think we can all read between the lines there. If you haven't bought tons of expensive Ducatis in the past, don't expect to get one of these. But all the same, I'd love to know your pick of the bunch down in the comments below. Anyway, moving on to BMW with more you can't afford it porn in the form of their new TT edition of the M1000RR World Superbike Homologation Special. Now this one does have a price of oof, £43,990. But I will admit, it's not a combo I thought would work that well on paper, but an M1000RR in British racing green is actually really rather fetching. Naturally, you've got the TT graphics, you've got the mounting course route on the side there as well, along with an aluminium tank and also an Alcantara seat. Plus, you get their M Sport pack. It doesn't include the pillion pack this time though, which to be honest might be for the best. A paddock stand, a mat, your bike's specific number on the top yoke, with just 115 of these to be made to celebrate this year's 115th running of the event. Lovely stuff, wouldn't mind one of those at all. Now over at Suzuki, we've got news that this rather punchy, almost Austrian looking finish on their GSX 8R middleweight sports bike will in fact be available for the UK this year. I think we covered this one a few episodes back as it was made available in Germany in the first instance. But just this week, Suzuki GB said it will now sit alongside the existing colours of blue, white or black. Now it comes in at £8,999 on the road, and I actually reckon it might now be the best looking one of the bunch. I don't normally do a great deal on dirt bikes unless I really see something I like, but Honda's press release popped into my inbox this week and I must say, these do look excellent. It's the new CRFs, the 250s and the 450s, and there is some good technical stuff in the press release as well. They're saying 10% more peak power on the 450, 4% more torque, a lighter chassis, revived suspension as well. But being a bit of a poser, it's the finish that obviously caught my eye. Just because off-road Hondas more often than not come entirely in red, whereas these ones they've used a bit more of an HRC vibe with a bit of blue at the back there and the oversized Honda logo in white. And I mean, come on, even if you're not a sort of dirt bike kind of guy, that is one nice looking bike. Meanwhile, Cycle World speculate this week that a baby Yamaha sports bike could be on the way for the US market, with it being 5 years since Yamaha trademarked both the R9 and R2. Now, of course, the R9 a year or two back actually did make it into their lineup, but the R2, well, not so far, but they do say that in very recent times there's been another flurry of trademarks for the US, Israel, India, Norway, Iceland, Brazil and Mexico. That's on top of trademarks for Yamaha R2 in the EU and New Zealand last year. And that comes after Australia, Canada, Singapore and Indonesia in 2024. So it seems like a heck of a lot of effort for the old Yamaha intellectual property team if it isn't a bike that's really coming into the lineup. And so yeah, probably a fairly strong indication that something is afoot. Now realistically, this bike will be a bigger version of the existing R125 and R15 with a single cylinder engine that ought to pack just a little bit more punch than those two existing models. One to keep an eye out for, especially if you're a fan of a small capacity sports bike. And here's the trademark that was on the Cycle World article, which I just wanted to include because it looks like anyone could have knocked that up in Microsoft Word, especially that font for the US Trademark and Patents Office. Anyway, Triumph this week announced they'll be bringing back their custom build-off for 2026 with another round of what they call Triumph Originals. So builders from 7 countries will make a one-off bike, and the theme this year is scramblers. So I think they can choose from anything down at the 400 end of the spectrum through the 900s all the way up to the 1200X or XE. Once they've come up with something original, well, voting goes out to the public on their website. Then there's also scoring from an expert panel, and the winner is determined with a bit of a combined score between the two. Now this year in the UK, it's Stockwell Designs again, and to be fair, last year's entry was pretty slick to say the least, so very much looking forward to seeing what they come up with this time round. Details, of course, are through the Triumph website. They've got all the builders listed out, and you'll be able to vote there as well once it opens this summer and the builds are revealed. Now this year's DGR, or Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, has just been and gone, a brilliant event to raise money for men's health causes, and you've got to hand it to them and everyone that was involved in that they did a damn good job this year in terms of raising funds. MCM reported this week that globally they've managed to raise £5.3 million with over 120,000 bikers riders taking part from 1,070 cities across 109 countries. The highest individual, though, in terms of funds raised, was a chap called Johnny Chef from Chicago in the US, who managed to clock up a somewhat ridiculous $85,154, which is about £63,000. I checked out his fundraising page actually, and it's pretty much all from one local race team in Chicago called Orange Cat Racing. And so I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe he sold his soul to his race team, but fair play all the same for their generous donation. Anyways, that's time for comment of the week. And last week we had our roundup of new bike rumors for 2027. So I pick my favorite comment from the previous episode, and then at the end of the month, pick my best of the month, and you'll receive a break-free unit of your choice on the house. One of the most popular rumors from that video is the fact that Yamaha are said to be working on a CP3 triple powered Tenere 900, but it has been a fair old wait for this model, and so Res1231 said, I've been waiting for the Tenere 900 using the CP3 engine for ages, but I gave up and got a Tiger instead. So there you go, comment of the week for being a fellow rider of fine taste. Anyway, back to the bikes, and this week MCM report the British builder Mack Motorcycles have opened their doors to the public, with the first customer taking a test ride later this month. In a way, it's a similar idea to the now out of business, unfortunately, CCM bikes, with the same big 600 Husky as they used in their Spitfires, and again it's built into Mack's own chassis with some very sweet looking retro styling for a bit of a cafe racer kind of look. One gets flat bars, it's called the Rex. It's got some very nice touches indeed from the pictures on the website, whereas the other out of the two model lineup is called the Ruby, and this one gets a little bit more of a sporty riding position owing to some clip-on style bars. Both make about 57 horsepower peak. They come in pretty light as well at about 150 kilos dry, but it's got to be said, with a guide price of about 15,500, well, you're going to have to really want one to pay that sort of money for something fairly stripped back. I do hope, though, they do succeed and do pretty well, and I can see the appeal of something quite barebone and small and pure, especially when it looks pretty good like this as well. Meanwhile, over at Harley-Davidson, we've had their announcement a couple of weeks back that they'll be bringing back the air-cooled Sportster for 2027, along with a new entry-level 440 single-powered bike for the rest of the world. They already sell it in Asia, but yeah, it's going to go global. But on top of that, a couple of patents recently revealed a couple of other new names, and so that could mean two more new bikes on top. Now the names are Deadwood and Lowbob, and I think with the latter, well, it seems like it could be a new entry into the Softail lineup with something that sits somewhere in between a lowrider and a street bob. Lowrider and a street bob. But it's the Deadwood that's causing a little bit of confusion. I think normally when you round up the motorcycle press, they usually have a good guess, but this one seems a little less certain, although a few sources do point out that Deadwood is a town in South Dakota, not far from where the humongous Sturgis motorcycle rally takes place. So the best bet seems to be for that one some sort of retro cruiser. Over at their electric brand though, LiveWire, well, it's not exactly been a roaring success over the past few years. But one electric motorcycle manufacturer who've been doing pretty well is Stark Future. Their line of dirt bikes and their supermoto have been very popular indeed, with the key thing I think being that they've built something that seems to be able to rival or maybe even surpass petrol-powered bikes in terms of capability and performance. So much so that they actually turned a profit last year, which is pretty rare at the moment in the EV space. So it seems like LiveWire must have noticed or taken note with the news this week that they've just bought the US electric startup Dust Moto, who makes something that looks similar-ish to what you'd expect from Stark. Maybe this is a bit of a slingshot that they're looking for into this more profitable, perhaps, off-road market. And of course, dirt bikes are particularly big business in the US, and so it could well turn out to be a pretty smart move. I also picked up some interesting industry news from German publication Motorrad Online this week that CFMOTO have moved into the top 10 brands in terms of sales in Germany. In fact, they were 7th ahead of Ducati, Suzuki and Harley-Davidson. And so could this be a sign that Chinese brands are actually starting to move properly into the mainstream? In fact, we actually went on the UK press launch last week for their 1000 MTX adventure bike, so pretty serious stuff. And I've got to say, especially considering the price, I was really impressed with it, so it's not difficult to understand why they're becoming more and more popular. In fact, that review will be out pretty soon. Tim's just on the edit as we speak. And so if you're looking for a really affordable and capable mid to large capacity adventure bike, then yeah, that review should be out at some point in the next few days. A bit of gear news now. Quadlock just announced personalized phone cases in the US, which I'm very jealous about. I wish I could get one of these in the UK. Maybe they'll follow up at some point. But yeah, choose personalize your case at the checkout. You can put your own text on it, choose a color, maybe even a custom mag ring as well. And there you have it. You've got your very own bespoke Quadlock case. Very nice. But now, I'm sure some of you will remember that Honda had to recall a really significant number of bikes lately with an excessive oil consumption issue on their CB1000 Hornet that's thought to be related to the piston rings. Obviously, oil starvation can have some serious knock-on effects, and so they also paused the release of two of their major models for 2026, so the CB1000F Retro, the CB1000 GT Tourer, because of course they're on the same engine platform, so they didn't want to put them out there only to have to recall them again. But look, Motorrad Online again report this week that they're on to the next round of this investigation, with a solution being in place for the German market. It's not particularly nuanced either. They're just going to replace all four pistons and all four rings, with about 2,500 bikes affected in Germany, so it's not an insignificant undertaking. It won't be done at the dealer though. They say it'll be sent to a specially set up European service centre. Because that's going to take a little bit of extra time, they do say where possible or where required, owners will be provided with a courtesy bike. They also say that if there is damage spotted from this oil starvation issue, then in those cases it's thought that the whole engine could be swapped out. And so look, nice to see Honda dealing with this swiftly and properly, but it's got to be said that must be a bit of a financial sting to have to sort out all those bikes. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think of this week's story, so do let me know down in the comments below. And also, I'll put a playlist on the screen now of last week's videos in case you missed them. We've got a ride on the Harley Sportster, the 1200, which I really enjoyed, and also a look around our favourite custom motorcycle show, the Bike Shed in London. Do hit subscribe for more of the latest motorcycle news and reviews right here on MOTOBOB. A massive thanks for watching today, and we'll see you in the next video.